You have to break it down and regroup and take a deep breath. So here is exactly what you have to do to figure out which processes to document first so that you can begin to see that growth instantly.
You an entrepreneur, I got what you need.
Hey there, my loves. Welcome back to CPTV. I'm CP, and you are in the place for aspiring and growing entrepreneurs who want to turn their passions into businesses and their businesses into freedom. If that sounds good to you, then you are in the right place. Go ahead and subscribe, because every single Tuesday, I am giving you the training and the step-by-step business processes and systems that you can implement immediately in your business and life so you can get to that level of entrepreneurial freedom that you deserve and desire and that I love so much. So you heard me. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you don't miss any of it. And of course, if you like it, if I bring you value, then show me. Smash that like button and tell me what you think in the comments below. I answer them all the time. I love it. Okay, y'all, we have been going hard. Okay, maybe not that hard. All right. Don't judge me. Y'all know I love musicals, so I had to slip that in there, okay? But we have been plowing through these processes and systems. Look at you, okay? The feedback, the DMs, the love, the questions have been amazing. So for the past few months, we have been focused on really killing it when it comes to documenting your business processes and creating those systems so that you can ultimately scale your organization, hire who you need, and delegate the tasks and have more time and more freedom to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? So today I've got to take a little step back because the questions have been pouring in, as I mentioned, with specific requests around certain types of processes and procedures and systems and what I do about this and what do I do about that and what systems do I use for all of those things. And don't worry, my love, we are going to address each one of those questions as we continue throughout the Process Lab. And if you have any questions or needs, put them in the comments below. That is going to be the first step, and I've got you, okay? But today, I have to address one particular question that I have been getting over and over and over again. And it really hit me that I need to answer this question now. When most recently I had a conversation with a coachee and a student of mine about the exact same scenario. And I could just hear the stress and anxiety in her voice. And the question made a really good point. And the question was, CP, now I recognize that I have to create and document all of these processes and systems into my business in order to get to that next level. But which ones do I focus on first? I'm completely overwhelmed. Honestly, she felt like she had at least 20 different processes to create. And the thought of doing all of them at the same time created frustration, it created anxiety, and ultimately it created paralysis for her. You know what I'm talking about, right? That feeling that we get as entrepreneurs when we've got a lot of ideas and things like running around in our minds and our heads, we're getting overwhelmed. It causes us to shut down. And so much so that we don't even know where to start first. So we just don't start at all. Right? Well, today, my goal is to help you figure out which processes and systems you need to focus on first, how to pick and choose them, how to get them done, because even if you do have 20 that you ultimately need to create, you can't do them all at once, right? You have to break it down and regroup and take a deep breath. So here is exactly what you have to do to figure out which processes to document first so that you can begin to see that growth instantly. Let's get to work. So let's break this down. And I really do like to do it in phases, all right? So in phase 1, you focus on creating the processes and systems that influence revenue generation in your organization. That's the first group you prioritize. That means your money processes, your marketing processes, and your sales processes, right? I have already talked about those specific ones during some past Process Lab episodes. So I'm going to go ahead and link to that entire playlist right here so you can binge.
Watching on TV for a change.
Ain't nothing like a good binge, y'all, is it? Okay, so go ahead, check it out. But let me tell you why. Those are your 4 main processes, and they are the ones that you have been doing since you started your business yourself. They are the ones that you know best, even if you haven't documented them. You started creating them first, because when you started your business, the first thing you did was try to sell some stuff, right? So in the very beginning, you began to figure out how you were going to take money in and what you were going to do in order to do refunds and cancellations. And you started thinking about those things and kind of trying things and winging it. Then you also started thinking, how am I going to market my business? Am I going to use social media? And you just got these ideas generating. So you just started doing it. And then you actually said, all right, I'm going to sell some stuff. And how do I do that? And so you began to subconsciously but consciously create your processes. Well, those are the ones that you want to solidify and perfect first. And we all know that the first step to doing that is to actually begin to document them. And I encourage you to make sure that you're focusing in these areas first. Once you get all that stuff out of your head onto paper and document it, you'll be able to look at them and streamline them and tweak them and perfect them and make them more efficient so that you can actually increase that volume and do more of that. Because when you have more revenue coming in, you're making more sales, you're making more money. And when you're making more money, you're finally going to be in a position where you feel comfortable hiring someone else to delegate these things to, right? There's so many steps in your money processes, your marketing processes, and in your sales processes that you need and deserve to be able to delegate. But until you've documented them and perfected them, you won't generate enough revenue in order to be able to hire someone to delegate that stuff to. So that's why I say the first set of 4 processes that you should focus on initially, documenting and perfecting, are the ones related to growing your revenue. So now that you have finished with phase 1, it is time for phase 2. Where your business processes and systems focus should be on your product and service delivery processes. In essence, your customer service. How do you get your products and services delivered concretely, easily, and effectively to your customers? Now, you've already been doing this as well. You've been piecemealing it, you've been trying different things, you've been winging it, but you've never taken the time to really map out what you're doing right now and looking at it to find where it's ineffective, where it might have some weaknesses, and where you can tweak them. So in phase 2, after you've done the phase 1 stuff, you've got to sit down and really focus on how you're going to deliver your services. This is where your onboarding process comes into play. Extremely important and critical. This is your delivery or shipping if you're a product-based business, online business or e-commerce business, and you've got tangible products or digital products. This is where you begin to focus on that delivery piece. And let's just say you've got a one-on-one coaching or consulting service that you're ultimately delivering, or a speech that you're giving out. You ultimately need to sit down and say, what does my service process look like? What does my program look like? How do I deliver these things to my customers and clients? You've been doing it, you've just never documented it. And that's why phase 2 is so important, because phase 1 brings the money in. Phase 2 keeps the money in, okay? If you're not delivering your services well because you are all over the place, you'll never create efficiency. And guess what? The second phase of your business that you're going to want to delegate so that you can get to that freedom is your customer service. So knowing what the process looks like, knowing exactly where you need an assistant or help or a customer service rep is going to be important, because this is going to be the next stage of delegation that you're going to go through. So that's why phase 2 is the next phase. I want you to prioritize these things in the exact order that I'm giving you. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to be overwhelmed. Start with phase 1, move into phase 2, and you will have mapped out every which way of how you get your products and services out to the world. And that brings me to phase 3. And that's when you have to focus on everything else that you are going to want to delegate. These are the items and the activities that don't directly affect revenue, but they are still things that distract you from driving that revenue and staying in your genius zone, which ultimately affects the revenue, right? So the third phase of documentation of your business processes and systems involves all the rest of the stuff. Let me give you an example. For instance, your human resource processes. Those are important, right? Because ultimately you're going to be delegating. So that means you're going to be hiring. You're going to be out there trying to find the perfect fit for your business. So now is the time in phase 3 to start with HR. I always recommend start with your human resources. What does your recruiting and onboarding and employee types of processes look like? Then you're going to think about other operational processes like your overall financials. How do you manage those? How do you reconcile those? What do you do in order to be able to keep track of your numbers in your business and take care of really important business things like taxes and payroll eventually and all of those things? So when I say the rest of the processes in your business, they're really going to emerge as your business grows. But because you've already done phase 1 and phase 2, you are a pro at documenting processes. And once you've completed those, they're just in kind of maximization phase, right? They're in the phases where you're growing those. So now you can really sit down and focus on creating the other things that are going to get you to that next level, but aren't as important as driving revenue and maintaining your revenue, right? So take care of all the other ones that are running around in that beautiful little head of yours in phase 3. Trust me, plenty of time. You'll be good. So you see, it's not really as overwhelming as it feels right now. I know, just take a deep breath and break it down into small chunks in the order that I just gave you. And when you think about it, it really does work out like this. In phase 1, you got to pretty much create 4 basic processes, right? Not overwhelming, just 4. In phase 2, you'll have to create a few as well. That really depends on how many different types of products and services you have in your business. And remember my motto, right? The more products and services your beautiful head creates, the more processes that you have to create, which is why I always say and recommend taking it one product or service at a time is the most effective way to do that. But sometimes it's not possible because you've already created stuff and you got to go back. I get it. So you've got 4 in phase 1, right? That's not so overwhelming. And let's say 3 or 4 in phase 2. Okay. That means we really only have about 8 to create, at least in the beginning. But once you create those initial 8, and keep in mind, it's just 8. It's not that overwhelming. You will have already identified things that can be delegated. Right? You will have already identified who your first employee needs to be. And then you can get some of those things off of your plate so you can move confidently into phase 3, the other stuff, right? And once you complete phase 3 of documentation, everything that can be delegated in your business should be well on its way for you to do it, document it, and delegate it. So don't be overwhelmed. It is possible to get it all done without losing your mind by taking it one phase at a time. It'll be okay. You got this. So do you feel a little bit better now? If so, tell me below in the comments and make sure that you subscribe because I need to get to 50,000 subscribers this year. And this is just the beginning. Like I've said, in 2021, we are going to be focusing on knocking your business processes and systems, documentation, and creation out in your business. We will be diving into more processes and systems in the coming weeks. Don't worry, we're going to get down deep again because that's what we do around here. All right. So if you are hella pumped about that, smash that like button. If you've got questions, let me know in the comments below. If you're struggling or challenged with any particular process or system, let me know. And don't forget to subscribe in that bubble right next to me. You see my face. So you can catch us next week and every single week after that. And don't forget to share this video with someone that you know will find CPTV helpful for their entrepreneurial journey. And make sure you grab your guide. I don't want to forget that. Your free guide to creating business processes that scale with the SOP template so that you can get started. It's in the comments and in the description below. And until next time, my loves, stay safe. Mwah! Bye-bye.